Welcome to Maranatha Minute with Bishop Richard Frank. Maranatha Minute is a production of Maranatha Ministries, UPC. For the next 5 to 7 minutes, Bishop Frank will talk about various topics that will help and encourage you in your walk with God. Your comments are both encouraged and appreciated. Be sure to like us on Facebook, and follow us on YouTube, and be sure to click the bell so you'll always know when we go live. Now relax, and be blessed by this week's version of Maranatha Minute.
And welcome to all of you tonight for tonight's version of Maranatha Minute. So glad you joined me tonight. I'm just going to go real quick here right into what I want to talk about. And I actually want to, I don't want to call it steal, like robbery, but I am going to borrow a little bit, I think, from Pastor Mike Rausch's sermon on Sunday. I want to just expound on a couple of things he said. What a phenomenal and powerful sermon it was. This past Sunday. If you didn't hear it, I encourage you to get on either YouTube or Facebook. Look us up, Maranatha Ministries, UPC, on either venue, YouTube or Facebook. You'll find that sermon. And just did a tremendous job talking about salt. And I think he said, "Pass the Salt" was the name of the sermon. Very catchy sermon title and very powerful sermon. But I just want to pick up on a couple of things. One of the scriptures he pointed out was the Bible, where it says in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 13. I'm using the New International Version for tonight's session, and it says this: "You're the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown down and trampled underfoot." If the salt loses its saltiness, and you're the salt of the earth. Now, he preached the whole message on that. And again, I encourage you to listen to that. But I want to expound upon a couple of things that jumped out at me. And I just want to hit them again, because we need to also take heed to the warning that Jesus gave us when he says that if the salt loses its flavor, how will it be seasoned? Once the salt loses its flavor, it's good for nothing. I don't want to be the salt of the earth that has no flavor. And so the question that jumps out at us immediately is, how does the salt lose its flavor? And one of the things that Brother Mike pointed out in the sermon yesterday was that salt in the ancient world was found in salt deposits that were exposed to elements, and they were mixed with other minerals, and many times on the seashores and in the marshes. And what happened over time was that rain or groundwater would leach the salt away, so that bit by bit, just a little bit here, a little bit there, the salt would be leached away until what you had left was a watered down salt, and a salt that had no flavor, and it was really worthless. It was not good for anything. And he pointed out how if we're not careful, the ways of this world can water us down to where we lose our effectiveness, we lose our ability to influence the world around us, and that's really our calling. Our calling is to not entice the world by being like them. I've always said the world's not looking for more of the world. The world's looking for something that can help them. And that's not true for everybody. Some people are very happy being in the world. They're very happy the way they are. They don't want Jesus. They don't want anything to do with God. But there are many miserable, weary, tired people who need deliverance, who need salvation, who need a hope. They need an answer. And they need somebody different than them. They need somebody that looks different, thinks different, acts different, has a different outlook, has a different motivation, has a different excitement. They need somebody like that to give them hope. If I need hope, I don't want somebody in my shoe. If I'm lost at sea, I don't want to bump into somebody else that's lost at sea. I want to bump into somebody that's got a compass. And I think that's the point he was really trying to make yesterday, is that we can't let this world water us down or cause us to lose our saltiness. And so we need to be careful not to let this world leach away our effectiveness. unfortunately, that's not always an instantaneous process. Sometimes it happens so gradually and so slowly, we don't notice it. And that's why it's so important that we are faithful to church, faithful to prayer meetings, faithful to the gathering together. Jesus said, wherever two or three of you are gathered together in my name, that's where I am in your midst. And that's so important because it's at those times that we see an image of him and we see a reflection of us and we become changed. We realize I've drifted away, or we realize I'm not where I need to be. And we desire to get back. It keeps pulling us back to where we need to be. And that's why church attendance is so important. And COVID tried to steal that from us. And I thank God what a great crowd we had in our services on Sunday, because people are starting to come back, and we need to be back because it's rubbing elbows, it's hearing preaching, it's feeling each other's spirits, it's feeling the encouragement from one another that picks us up and realizes, you know what, I can do this. I can live for God. I can be different. I don't need to accept the philosophies of this world. The philosophies of this world aren't right. And I mentioned in the 8:30 service, I brought my guitar. I did the music. Me and Dan DiPasquale did the music for our 8:30 service. And I'm going to wrap this up in just a minute here, but I did the music for the 8:30 service. And one of the songs I sang was an old Andre Crouch song from back in the 70s. That was Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him, there's no other. Jesus is the way. And before I sang that song, I just felt the burden on my heart. And so I talked for a moment, and I said, you know, we're living in a world, sadly, where we have a young man who is allowed to say within himself that he thinks he's a girl. And because he thinks he's a girl, we all have to accept that he is a girl and allow him to compete in women's sports and actually win a women's event. Of course, he's going to win the women's event because regardless of what he thinks, he's a biological male. But that's the world we're living in now. We have gone so far. We don't decide what we are. See, we have totally rejected God and our submission to him. God decided however it works, God decided when I was formed in my mother's womb, I was going to be a man. God decided that. When I come out of the womb, what kind of rebellion is it to look at God and say, I don't like what you made me. I'm going to be something different. See, that's what that is. It's total rebellion against God. And if we don't say this is wrong, if we don't bond together and worship God and live for God and hold on to what's true, we will lose our saltiness. And the saltiness is that we represent the mind of God for this world. We represent it. I mean, we're living at a time when we have a Supreme Court nominee who, when asked if she can tell the difference between a man and a woman, said she can't because she's not a biologist. Listen, I'm not a biologist. I don't even have a college degree, but I was in the delivery room when my son was born back in 1970. When was he born? 70. Oh, I got myself in trouble. 79. He was born in 79. 1979, when my son was born. I was a dumb kid, 22 years old. When he came out of the womb, I looked and immediately knew he was a boy. I didn't need a biology degree. 3 years later, in 1982, see, I got it, 1982, when my daughter was born, I was in the delivery room. She came out of the womb. I didn't need a biology degree or call in a biologist to do some tests to find out if I have a boy or I knew what I had. I knew the moment I looked at her, I knew I had a little girl. I had a daughter. You know, this is the world we're living in. We can't lose our saltiness. We can't lose our contact with God. We must stand up, even though we may be persecuted in some areas of life. We must stand up for what is true and for what is right. So let's show the world what true love looks like, what true love looks like, what the love of God looks like. What does the love of God look like? Whosoever will may come. Come unto me, all you that labor and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Come to him, not get God to go to you and become what you are. to accept your role, your life, your desires, your wishes, your commands. Let's get the world to come to God and submit to him. And let's be the salt of the earth. And let's show this world how glorious it is when you serve Jesus. Serve God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, with all your strength. Serve him. Give him everything. And show this world how glorious it is when you submit to the laws of God. Thank you, Brother Mike Rausch, for that tremendous sermon on Sunday. Again, if you didn't hear it, get on YouTube or Facebook and listen to it. God bless you. I will see you in church this Sunday. Looking so forward to seeing you all. God bless you. Thank you for joining me tonight.